Argenta asks the rogue trader to talk with her on the ship as soon as the opportunity arises. Better not to put it off for too long.
Rogue trader.
Argenta. Sister Argenta looks tired. There are dark circles. Under her eyes, her hair is somewhat disheveled, and she moves like she's a little on edge. Rogue trader. You said you have a personal request for me.
I indeed have a request, Rogue Trader. The accursed servants of chaos who assaulted this ship took the lives of your loyal crew members, and they orphaned many children, including the progeny of the brave officers who defended their posts until the bitter end. I don't know what customary practices there are for cases like this in Von Valancia's territory, but in the world I'm familiar with, the children of such brave souls could expect to receive some special consideration. Perhaps the rogue trader could meet with the orphans?
A malign metaphysical force composed of psychic energy that exists in an alternate dimension known as the warp. Make arrangements for a meeting worthy of a rogue trader. We'll address the orphans with a speech. We'll meet with them, no formalities needed. These are the children of people who gave their lives for the Von Valancius dynasty. My consideration is the least that they deserve. Deliver this order on my behalf. The orphans are to be properly provided for, but a personal meeting with the rogue trader is too much.
I will pass on your instructions. Thank you for taking my request to heart.
The motley group of adolescents do not take their eyes off you, gazing at you as if we're a creature straight from a fairy tale. 3. Abelard, our indefatigable sister, has been keeping an eye on these pups. Abelard glances at the gathered children. It is hardly the Scola progenium, but we have provided the orphans on our ship with adequate care and instruction. A division of the ecclesiarchy responsible for the upbringing, education, and training of orphans of those officers and nobles who have died in the service of the Imperium. P. Argenta. Argenta is standing to the side of the group. At your approach, she perks up and announces, her voice ringing, "Brave ones, The master of this ship has appeared before you, the one who guides it through the darkness of the universe by the Emperor's will. Greet your Lord Captain, the rogue traitor of House von Valentius. Heinrich Montag. You notice Infernus Master Heinrich Montag, standing a few paces away from the orphans. He watches you with approval and bows respectfully when you meet his gaze. Infernus Master, do you serve as a teacher in your spare time? Heinrich Montag, not at all, your ladyship, I'm just looking out for them. It's the Infernus way to help folks in trouble. It's our job, after all. So we chip in rations here and there and make sure nobody gives them a hard time. We take the older ones into the clan's care if they want. Many in the guild are not our family by blood, but by circumstance. Grandly addressed the group I, the rogue traitor and lord. Captain of this ship, speak to you now. Your parents gave their lives for a just cause and brought honor to the von Valentius banners and those of the Imperium. Am proud of them, and I believe that you will become their worthy heirs. Smile at the group. Your Lord Captain greets you, brave ones. Address the chaperones, give them treats, and escort them to their homes. Believe a minute of beholding the Lord Captain is a great enough honor for them. The teenagers hang on your every word with bated breath, only a few at the far end. Soft the row seems sullen and not particularly impressed by your speech. Orphan, one of the scowling visitors with a thin scar. Across his face tosses his head back and says bitterly, "So what? Why should we care? Our friends and parents died in their dozens for you noble lot, and you just give us speeches." P. Argenta quickly turns to the boy. A flurry of emotions flashes in her dark phase, like she wants both to calm him and scold him for his impudence. Address the chaperones, their comportment leaves much to be desired. Hope that they will be molded into worthy servants of House von Valentius. This audience is over. Infernus Master, since you are so concerned about the orphans, they are henceforth your clan. It falls to you to teach them the meaning of what their parents fought and died for. Address the group. If you have things to say, say them. Without fear, I will listen. Orphan, the boy smiles grimly. It doesn't matter what we say, it won't bring our parents back. And it won't change our fates either. We'll keep slaving away on this ship until we drop and die like our folks, or worse. The strong have the power to decide the fate of others. The weak either obey or die. If you seek a different lot in life, boy, save your grumbling and look for an opportunity to rise above the rest. When the heretics who killed your parents attacked the ship was there, took command, fought, and repelled the assault as quickly as could. But no war can be won without losses. You can only strive to do what is within your power. LL understand your grief and dismay. Your parents died. It's not an easy thing to go through, but they gave their lives for the truth, for the good of the whole ship, for the Imperium. Do not speak of their honorable fate with anger and disdain. Argenta, you heard the rogue traitor. Her words carry the wisdom of the Imperium. Piss hard to say whether or not your words have left an impression on the boy, but he nods slowly. Then he catches himself and gives you an awkward bow. Abelard gives a sign, and servants immediately emerge carrying packaged treats with Von Valentius emblazoned on the wrappers. It appears that the seneschal came prepared for any contingency. Argenta rubs her temple pensively. She smiles and offers a few more words of encouragement, then leaves the bay. A matter of the utmost importance led the interrogator of the Inquisition, Heinrichs van Kalox, to the Rycad system. The rogue traitor's duty as a loyal servant of the Imperium is to find the interrogator and aid him in his mission. Since his whereabouts are currently unknown, it may be easier said than done. Vox Master Vigdes, Lord Captain reporting, the heralds of the Navis Nobilite F continue to maintain Vox silence. Perhaps due to Eurac being off, limits to visitors, we intercepted signals from the beacons drifting in the station's orbit. The demands are clear. We are told to turn the ship around immediately. Vox Master Vigdes, we have also detected an accumulation of space debris P near the station's docks. Presumably, it is the remains of interplanetary shuttles. P. Perhaps the esteemed Navis Nobilite House requires aid, and therefore cannot respond to our Vox transmission. Contact the station again. We'll negotiate personally. Vox Master Vigdes. The Vox relays the cadent sound of grinding gears and clicking fumblers. I am sorry, Lord Captain. The station does not reply even after an official greeting by a rogue trader and the declaration of your intent to negotiate in person. Order the crew to commence docking with the station. Order the auger crew to scan the station. Vox Master Vigdes. Yes, Lord Captain, the Vox remains. Silent for a while, but then you hear static and Vigdes's measured voice. The officers from the auger crew performed a full scan of the station, but the information is imprecise. They note wave distortions of unclear genesis that are throwing off most of the readings. Vox Master Vigdes. We were able to ascertain that the reactor core of the W station is still active, but many compartments are unpowered and some fully depressurized. The signs of biological activity are largely present in the central Urnajul, which means the station has not been abandoned. So the question remains, why are the esteemed navigators' heralds ignoring us? Vox Master Vigdes. Affirmative, Lord Captain. We do not know what is happening at the station, so you will have to look for the esteemed navigators blind. Dock safely, and may the god, Emperor, light your path.
Pathetic worm. You dare to argue with your master?
It was not you whom I swore to serve within these walls. My lips are sealed.
Confess! What was the old man's last command? What are you planning?
Give up, Keeper. You have lost this battle. Again.
We're getting nowhere with these ones, sir. Permission to execute them.
Felix or Celio, a tall man stops you with a gesture when you approach. Bloodies trickling down the pearly scales of his weary face, and not just his own blood. 2 tilde jet, black unblinking eyes are watching your every move, and the third one, the mark of a navigator's fate, is menacingly pulsing behind the lowered lid in the middle of his forehead. Step back, or I will unleash all the horrors of the Sea of Souls upon you. Emperor, be my witness. An alternate dimension of pure energy and madness existing as a mirror to real space, also known as the Immaterium, the Empyrean, the Ether, the Sea of Souls, or warp space. Abelard, if you would be so kind. Abelard, the seneschal, takes a deep breath. Before you stands her ladyship, he rogue traitor Hecata von Valentius, heir to the greatest protectorate in the Coronus expanse and bearer of the sacred warrant of trade. Allow me to point out that Nobilite custom requires the Lord Navigator to introduce himself first, but given the, unusual circumstances on the station, her ladyship, the rogue traitor, is willing to turn a blind eye to your hostility. But just this once. Felix or Celio, in this case, I shall turn a blind eye to your unceremonious invasion, but just this once. There is a dangerous glint in the man's dark, shrouded eyes. Very well, allow me to introduce myself. Before you stands Felix Christoph August, keeper of this place. So, you did not arrive to offer support to the traitors. This is great news. Having said that, you must understand that Eurac is a holy sanctum for House Orselio, and the path to it is only revealed to a select few. It pains me to say you are not on the guest list. What is happening on the station? Where did all these corpses come from? Felix or Celio, betrayal, a most banal thing in the life of the Nobilite, don't you think? I was stabbed in the back by my closest friend Theobald Orselio, the second keeper of Eurac and my mentor. On his instructions, my own people sabotaged the generators, blew up the shuttles, and brutally massacred the loyal servants of my mistress. Most unforgivably, they dared to take her prisoner. Greedy scum. I swear by the throne's light, their souls will perish in the darkness of the void. An arcane cybernetic artifact that encases the god. Emperor's physical remains entire and preserves them using stasis fields and psi fusion reactors. Felix or Celio. Felix falls silent for a few moments and then furiously slams the lend of his staff into the floor. The madmen have captured Lady Kasha and are now torturing her upstairs while we are idly chatting down here. Help me rescue her or be gone, but waste no more of my precious time. What kind of help are you talking about? Felix or Celio, I would never ask you for such a favor. Under different circumstances, and yet, Felix takes his hand away from his rib cage, notices blood, and winces in pain. And yet Lady Cash's well, being is above all. I haven't got many people left, and my wounds are too deep for me to act with precision and swiftness. But you may actually succeed. Felek or Celio, in order to ascend to the mistresses. Chambers, you will need to remake a holy relic sanctified with the blood of Lady Orcelio herself. This is the control rod of the elevator machine spirit. I have one part, and the other was lost during the mutiny, but even this relic will be of no use unless the elevator mechanism is powered. How do I remake the control rod? Felek or Celio, I have a phylactery containing the mistress's blood. It needs to be taken to the laboratory, which is located behind one of the reliquary doors. The most ancient of sacred mechanisms will help to rebuild the rod. The tech, priests ceaselessly performed the rites of appeasement so that the machine spirit would serve the house in its time of need. The fateful hour is now upon us. So how am supposed to power the elevator? Felek or Celio, the station's main cogitator is situated in the guard room. Just enter the correct command sequence, and the sacred mechanism will do the rest. Guess that makes sense. Equals or Celio. So what have you decided, descendant of the von Valentius? L will rescue your mistress, but in return, require that House or Celio sign a contract with my protectorate. Felek or Celio, Felek's reply sounds curt and tired. So be it. Hurry, the mistress's safety is all that matters. But should you fail, our arrangement is finished. Items received, phylactery of blood. The Navis Nobilite station is not responding to any signals, but the auger arrays have detected biological signatures in the main chamber. The rogue trader's only option is to perform an emergency docking and personally investigate. ORT Urza RH EBPA AE, the keeper of the station spoke of a rebellion and madmen who captured his mistress. Lady Kasia is being held in the upper chambers against her will, but a malfunctioning elevator prevents anyone from entering. The elevator control rod can be rebuilt in the laboratory using blood and a sacred mechanism. The power to the elevator must be restored using the cogitator in the guard room.
The whispers told me how.
The corpses were mauled by a forcey, far beyond any mortal. Capiacity thigh faces are twisted in. Pain. Angeled hands are fused with improvised weapons, tools, scissors, and cutlery.
A new challenge for me.
White. Bright, pure color. And it's all riddled with horrible veins that carry the poison of fear and pain throughout its body. Who are you? Why are you crying?
If the witch is talking about the enemies of humanity who set upon this abode of noble navigators, then our weapons will soon dispel their wicked misery. Duty prevails.
The Lady Navigator statue looks pristine and new.
None shall stand in my way.
The premonition runs true.
Most of these unfortunate souls took their own lives by slicing their guts wide open.
I won't heed your cries of mercy.
Purge them! Follow my lead.
As the Emperor commands, I act. Doubt is for the weak.
Stay vigilant.
Weather the storm!
Nothing!
Oh, my ears are ringing.
Weapon at the ready.
Moving out! I'll live another day.
But of course, what an unfortunate turn of fate.
High momentum.
Follow my lead. Indeed.
My faith strengthens me. Break their morale. Follow my lead.
Let's see how they respond to this. Onward!
Pain and duty go hand in hand.
There is movement in the Empyrean.
A tactically sound approach. One fewer target. For von Valentius! Tried and tested tactics are the best ones. I took care of this one.
God Emperor, move through me! Be the fire in my heart! I'll do it. Faith without deeds is worthless.
I shall not fear. Opposing me was your biggest mistake.
Attention to detail is the key to success.
I won't tolerate weakness. I rise to the occasion.
Statue by the famous Calixian sculptor and chronicler Zacharias Vernon the Magnificent, the 23rd year of this millennium, original.
It's about time.
Pontius Siphius Gelasius, on the training of worthy servants at the court of the Navis Nobilite. A good major, Domo attempts to nurture only the finest of flowers in the garden that is their master's life. Therefore, new seeds for the garden must be weeded out with the utmost care, so that the garden's trees may yield the sweetest fruit. The lessons below will help you separate the precious seeds from the vile thorns to cultivate the perfect garden for any lady navigator. Lesson 1. A faithful servant always makes sure their mistress's rooms and garments are clean. Lesson 2. A faithful servant will never offer their mistress the same dress presented earlier in the cycle. Lesson 3. A faithful servant offers their mistress a glass of fresh water upon waking. Lesson 4. A faithful servant tastes each dish and every drink before serving it to their mistress. Lesson 5. A faithful servant will have mastered the art of styling their mistress's hair. The total time that 5 servants can spend on arranging their mistress's coiffure should not exceed 3 revolutions of the chronometer. Lesson 6. A faithful servant lives for their mistress and gladly gives their life for her as well. Lesson 7. A faithful servant intercepted conversation between security officers. Tremendous honor, yes, but this promotion will transfer the entire squad to the child's personal guard. By the god, Emperor. Well, you are a strapping lad, you will probably make it for a cycle or 3. It has worn down better men than me. What even is the point if your brains turn into mush? I may rip out my eyes like Amos did. At best, I'll just go bonkers like that little shit stain that kept stealing our low. Oh, what happened to that one? Threw himself out of a depressurized chamber because some voices told him to. Calm down. Keeper Felek said the squad will not have to serve the child for long. He even gave us a little leeway. Unlike that fish-eyed, be quiet, he might hear you. Well, you know what I mean. He almost busted our heads because someone forgot to check the catering unit. We haven't let in a single outsider in over 10 years, but Keeper Theobald keeps finding things to fret over. Imagine the shrieking if he finds out Keeper Felek didn't make us inspect the hangar after Lord Winterscale's most recent visit. Throne forbid. I try to steer clear of the squabbles among the highborn. Some of Keeper Felek's orders make little sense, like the last time he commanded that we cut off communications with Rykad Minoris for a while. Why would he do that? It looks like he grew tired of the Winterscale Scions visits. Well, it's always a pleasure to aid Keeper Felek. That's right. If the highborn have grown tired of each other, let them deal with it. The library is full of treatises by the most distinguished scholars of the Imperium, from Astra Militarum tacticians to Adeptus Mechanicus / Genitors.
Follow my lead.
The Emperor favors me today.
The crew continues to mourn Lady Theodora. I fear it may affect the performance of their duties in service of the Lord Captain.
In his service will they find strength and fortitude. Only thus will they turn their hearts away from the frailties that lead to heresies.
I'll lay claim to the stars.
This ocular implant was a worthwhile investment.
Sins hidden in the heart turn all to decay.
That wasn't so difficult.
Victory awaits!
Never doubt me.
None shall stand in my way.
Research Notes of Navis Laboratorum, Custodian Fortunata. Orselio, Part 13. Keeper Theobald graciously agreed to provide samples of his skin growths so we could study the influence of the rebellious immaterium on the flesh of the Navis Nobilite. Just as we thought, navigators are positively resistant to the restless currents of the warp. The god, Emperor, truly does shield some people against corruption and misery. But let us get back to the study of mortal flesh. Another servant will be carried in shortly. I must ready the organ extraction equipment. Adamantine dust and black water. This was the worst idea that could have entered my mind. God, Emperor be praised, I am lucky to still have my head on my shoulders after this reckless experiment. Nevertheless, we did make an important discovery. The adamantine seems to protect the frail flesh of the lowborn to a degree. Having said that, not even the macerator can handle its temper, so we should probably introduce a more complex compound into the formula. All of the data related to the experiment were recorded to data, crypt K040. I will get back to them later, once I am done with experiment H41OK. Have I mentioned that the chunk of meteorite found by Keeper Felix subjects is completely useless, although its shining granules could be used to make new paints for the child? Yes, I think I'm going to do exactly that.
The whispers told me how. Over.
For some reason, the archenemy's twisted influence has found its way into the station.
I won't tolerate weakness.
The cogitator's vid screen is covered in cracks and stained with dried blood. The S buttons, switches, and levers were ripped out of the control panel with exceptional cruelty and scattered around the sacred mechanism that now sparks and hisses in agony, still refusing to perish. Awaken the cogitator. Turn a few of the remaining dials and pull the activation lever. The cracked vid screen of the sacred engine flickers. The cogitator's insides emit creaks and groans in the lumens oscillate at random. It takes a while, but eventually the machine spirits do grant you access to the cogitator's systems. A general term for a light source, presumably an electric one. Request data on the station's navigators. After a brief pause, the data appears on the vid screen. Equals Felek Orselio. Location, main hall. Status, alive, Theobald Orselio. Location, upper chambers. Status, alive, Calamira Orselio. Location, upper chambers. Status, deceased, Alexius Orselio. Location, lower levels. Status, deceased. Rasmus Estevan Orselio. Location, unknown. Status, deceased. The child, location, upper chambers, biometric parameters. Rapid heartbeat, elevated body temperature, stress level exceeds the permissible limit. Status: unknown error. Attention, calming procedures advised. Attention, upper chambers inaccessible. Error: the control rod is not present. If the rod has been misplaced, immediately contact a station keeper or the Navis Laboratorum custodian. The archive data, stored on the cogitator's local data crypt, is partially corrupted, but you still manage to access the residual logs for examination. View Vox, Report 12 AH 890. The Vox recording hisses for some time before you hear A. Voice: this is Officer A, 82, do you copy? Several generators overheated on the lower levels, chambers A2 are unpowered. The tech priest crew sent to investigate the problem is not responding. Requesting back, the officer's speech is interrupted by shouting, and the recording abruptly ends. Officer H, 123 speaking. 200 servants have perished due to explosive R decompression of the living quarters. We've located traces of mechanical interference. The preliminary cause is officer sabotage. Crews 5, 6, and 9 are cut off from the main compartment. We have enough oxygen for 20 minutes. May the Emperor save our souls. Senior station officers, this is the captain speaking. We attempted to contact He Winterscale Cyan for help, but something is jamming the signal. We never received a reply and cannot be sure it was even sent in the first place. A rescue F-team is not coming. We are on our own, so remain vigilant. Anyone could be a traitor, you hear me? Anyone. If you are in doubt, shoot to kill. Examine the recent entries of the incident log. Report X 880 originator, classified, date classified. The servants close to the child have started butchering one another again. An order came from above to have their remains reprocessed. Report X 886 originator, classified, date classified. The negotiations with the Winterscales were a success. A new batch of servants will arrive in 10 moons. Escort them to the laboratory at once. It is imperative that we increase the new Tetainer's resistance to the child's powers. Examine the station's docking log. The log is almost completely corrupted, but you manage to recover the latest entry, identity confirmed, Regent Aranto Orselio. Date of visit, classified. Reason for visit, classified. Date of departure, classified. Examine the security and life support logs. The yellow lights above the control panel flicker to life, and a singular repeating message streams down the vid screen. Warning: damage in technical compartments A12, B3, D8, and H24 detected. Warning: living quarters L10, L16, L28 depressurized. Warning: unable to access the station's docking system. Warning: energy regulation system, unknown error. The station will transfer over to emergency power. Immediate evacuation of the facility is advised. Warning. View the encrypted data. Something buzzes in the cogitator's metallic gut. Several red lumens light up above the vid screen. Required access level, security captain or above. Current access evil, senior security officer. Tech use, 95%. Break through the machine guardians. Defenses. Tech use tests succeeded. You easily bypass the restrictions imposed on the sacred machine. The cogitator's overloaded processors were unhappily. Most of the encrypted data has been wiped. You find traces of the purge protocol. Recovery is impossible, but a list of the most recent commands, having been embedded in the machine spirit's consciousness, now flits across the screen in a glee creeping line. Child delete picked flow disable access code annul station controls delete activate shuttle self-destruct purge command log. Exploring the archives for while longer yields A. Surviving excerpt from the guard tilde captain's report mentioning that the security system had recently been reconfigured without his knowledge. His comment reads, "Only the keepers of the station have access to the life support systems, but Keeper Theobald had not left the child's side, and neither had IJ. Could it be that?" Call Rykid Minoris for help. The system cannot carry out your command, despite the eager compliance of the machine spirits. One thing is certain, the problem does not lie in the cogitator's mechanisms. Main elevator controls. One few manipulations with the switches make you realize the elevator to the upper chambers is blocked. Activate the elevator. Processing query confirmed. Switch to the main chamber controls. The cogs within the sacred mechanism slowly start turning, with heavy grinding and clacking. The tired machine spirits grant you access to the station control, or at tilde feast its parts that still obey the cogitator. I'll open all doors on the level. The cogitator's vid screen goes dark as if the machine. Spirits had fled their mechanical casket, but your assumption is incorrect, as it fills with static just a few moments later. You can barely make out an inscription amidst the flow of rapidly changing symbols. You push a few buttons on the control panel, but the system rebels and keeps resetting your commands. According to the data, the compartment you are trying to deepen is depressurized. The cogitator takes a few moments to gather the data from the station's active and produces the following message. The protocol has been executed. The passage has been opened. You thank the machine spirits and reset the operating protocol. The keeper of the station spoke of a rebellion and madmen who captured his mistress. Lady Kasha is being held in the upper chambers against her will, but a malfunctioning elevator prevents anyone from entering. The elevator control rad can be rebuilt in the laboratory using blood and a sacred mechanism.
I won't tolerate weakness.
Experience. Nothing matters more.
Victory awaits!
Nothing's impossible for this old officer. An expected result.
None shall stand in my way.
The caustic stench of reagents sears your nostrils and broken glass crunches underfoot. Somebody wanted to destroy the laboratory or find something.
The premonition runs true.
Synthetic amniotic fluid pools across the floor. Barely discernible traces stretch to the side opposite the entrance. The caustic stench of reagents sears your nostrils and broken glass crunches underfoot. Somebody wanted to destroy the laboratory or find something.
A new challenge for me.
Research notes of Navis Laboratorum Custodian Fortunata. Orselio, Part 12. More and more servants are being influenced by they. Immaterium, and it has nothing to do with the child's more frequent tantrums. We've discovered that the corrupted flesh of the mutated reacts most unusually to the crystals we purchased from the Winterscale dynasty. I strongly recommend finely grinding the reagent to catalyze the reaction. Do not use acid under any circumstances. Trust me, you will not like having to tend to the burns for the next dozen turns in a row. This calls for something more basic. Oh, and one more thing. The tech, priests bless the data, crypt H41, OK for the calculated number of chrono, turns, which means it is no longer necessary to remain near the device while waiting for the reaction to start. The data, crypt H40, KO malfunctioned over the course of our research. I should remind the technomats to deliver this sacred mechanism, woe into Magos Deoctius's capable hands. FSC. Laboratory Journal H, 4045 LS. Experimental section. The child's influence on the psycho-emotional state of various representatives of the Imperium access level, Orselio T prime. Experiment H4545, one subgroup. Low-born, male test subjects exhibit signs of acute stress. The majority perished of blood loss within a day of being placed in the laboratory chamber due to the inability to halt the discharge of ocular secretions, tears, and the body's subsequent replacement of these secretions with the connective tissue of its internal environment. The individuals with the greatest resistance to the sacred child's resonance died several chrono turns later. Extensive wounds in the abdomen, presumably inflicted by jagged piece of metal. Death was caused by strangulation with the subject's own intestines. The subject's final shouts exhibited concerns over abominable tentacles and void worms, hallucinations prescribed to their own internal organs. Experiment H4545, 2 subgroup. Low-born, female the test. Subjects died within an hour of entering the laboratory adjacent to the child's chambers. Most had their tongues bitten off or their jaws badly dislocated. Some test subjects lacked the physical strength to separate it from the rest of the skull. Cause of death: severe head injuries caused by impacting the walls or the floor. Experiment H4545, 3A, subgroup. A paralyzed patient who lost the ability to speak due to the shock caused by a manufactorum accident. Male the test subject noted a tingling sensation in the deteriorated tissue. During Regent Aranto, Orselio's visit to the child, the test subject smiled and started humming, most likely trying to carry some plebeian tune, and then attempted to address the servant who brought him food. A lengthy conversation was prohibitive due to the servant's lack of a tongue. Experiment H4545, 4 subgroup. A defective offspring of Lord P. Orselio, pronounced unfit for studying the high art of navigation owing to the mutation of tissues required for installation of the obligatory augmentations that merge one's consciousness with the vessel. Additionally, they display an overall feebleness of mind. Female the test subjects mirrored the child's actions for 3 days. On the 4th day, the child became upset after hearing the news about the untimely demise of Amos Cantarelli. an officer of her personal guard. As a result, one of the test subjects peeled away several layers of tissue from her face and died from the resulting massive heart attack. The last surviving test subject was executed for attempting to contact the child.
Follow my lead.
Experience. Nothing matters more.
Felix Orselio. Felix Orselio looks a little better, his tangled hair is now neatly braided, his wounds are tightly bandaged, and there is some healthy color under the scales on his cheeks. You dealt with the threat and powered the elevator. Well done. I trust you brought the activation rod as well. Remember, every second of hesitation may cost my mistress her life. Idira suddenly cocks her head and drives her nails deep into her shoulder. Then she starts mumbling. The crossroads. There are two paths, both stained with blood, both leading to the accursed eye. They all wear masks so poor and flimsy, they fall at the slightest touch, one hiding a blind man, another a traitor. Tell me more, what paths? Idira, I cannot say. One is paved with blind faith, the other with hatred and treachery. Both lead to tragedy. You simply have to decide what kind of tragedy you like the most. Who is who? Who do you see behind the masks? Idira, my whispers are giggling nastily. They will not speak the naughty little things. They say that tearing off the masks is your concern. Thank you. I did not understand a single word. Idira nods tiredly and glances at Felix out of the corner of her eye. Felix Orselio. This station has enough problems without your sorcery, Psyker. Felix waves Idira off and looks at you expectantly. Have many questions regarding what happened on the station. Felix Orselio, you think they are worth the life of my mistress? Who is the child mentioned in the documents and reports found on the station? Felix Orselio, you meddled with something that should have been left alone. The keeper folds his arms and shakes his head disapprovingly. The child is what the station's servants call Lady Kasha, for the commoners' dirty mouths must not sully her name by uttering it. You see, it is not beneficial for all servants to have their vocal organs altered. Some prove to be more useful when they are still able to speak. The madmen I fought were convinced that we were the traitors. The servants alone cannot be blamed for what happened on the station. Most corpses discovered were either unarmed or feeble. Felek or Salio, did you really think mere servants could plan a coup? The senior officers are just as guilty. Half of my guards butchered one another because they suspected treason. As for the real culprit, the coup was staged by those closest to the mistress. Icky madmen fought were convinced that we were the AI. Felek or Celio, Felek gives an indifferent shrug. That's why they are insane. Will you really heed the ramblings of retainers who dared to raise their hand against the scions of a noble bloodline? Destroying the shuttles, shutting off the power, and disabling the security systems, too many things required special access. Access available only to the keeper of the station. Felek or Celio, as I'm sure you are aware, there were two keepers of the station. Your guess is absolutely correct. Theobald or Celio, the demented old man obsessed with Lady Kasha and her power, and also the one to blame for the woes that have befallen Eurac and our noble line. Ob Na. I listened to a recording of a private conversation between the station's officers. You were very lenient toward them, purposefully neglecting the security protocols. Saw the security captain's report. Only the keepers have access to the station's systems, but Theobald stayed at his side the entire time and could not have initiated the self-destruct protocol. Felek or Celio, which means he did it before the report was filed, or maybe after, or Felek's stern face twists in disgust. You dare suspect me of what happened, the one who is going out of his way to preserve what little there is still left. By the god, Emperor, you will keep these slanderous accusations to yourself. Felek or Celio, I was lenient, this is true, and in the end I paid a steep price for it. Just look at the destruction around us. The insurgents have left almost nothing of my home. The keeper spits out the last few words with particular bitterness. Enough lies, Felek. Am certain that you are the one behind this coup. Felek or Celio, Felek nods wearily. I suppose it is time to remove my mask. Congratulations, you've got me. But did you really expect me to be sincere this entire time? To welcome you with open arms, an ally of Tisiphone and her monster, the accursed child who has tormented the navigators of House Orselio for years? Don't make me laugh. You arrived to help her completely destroy our house, and I cannot let that happen. S-228, Engtai. What are you babbling about? Know nothing of this, Tisiphone or monsters of any kind. Felek or Celio, you do not. Felek hesitates for quite a while. In that case, accept my sincere apology for the deception and my earlier behavior. I had no intention of making an enemy of a von Valancius heir, nor of destroying the station that served as my home for many years. They left me no choice. You cannot even imagine what monster lurks in the upper chambers. An evil, a plague, a pestilence on our bloodline that seeks to destroy house, or Celio from within. Felek or Celio, and Theobald and his followers, just mindless fanatics serving this evil. Lady Cassia is a scion of a merciless tyrant, but it is not her relation to Tisiphone that is terrifying. She is a monster whose powers drive servants insane in mere turns. A cursed child who can kill a navigator from the Orselio bloodline with just a look. I alone managed to get close enough to her over the years. She lowered her guard and trusted me, and at long last, I rid my house of the curse. This is the truth. If your cursed child agrees Ta become my navigator, will gladly rid you of this burden. Felek or Celio, you do not understand, this is. Felek stops mid-sentence, makes a brief pause, and then nods to himself. You are correct, this may work. It certainly is possible. Ele. Felek or Celio, you are going to need this charm. Felek hands you a precious stone without a setting. Its luminous surface remains cold to the touch, no matter how long you hold it in your hand. If you manage to press it against the monster's skin, whether by force or by guile, the baleful influence of her powers will recede. You will be able to take her and leave the station.
I'll lay claim to the stars.
Cassia, the pale figure with unnaturally long limbs, covers her face with her hands, which are deformed with talon, like nails. Her deathly pale face is coated with blood that continually streams from her scarlet, misted eyes. Her spiny gills, slightly hidden under her disheveled hair, twitch nervously at your approach. Cassia, only now do you notice the third eye on the young woman's forehead, hidden by a jeweled ornament. And when your eyes meet, you sense overwhelming, soul-smothering power. Willpower test, succeeded, you are enveloped in despairing. grief, and an invisible hand closes around your throat, cutting off your breath. Your limbs seem to fill with lead, your heart hammers in your chest, and the desire to turn and flee from this room, from this station, almost gets the better of you. At the last moment, you master your emotions, and your will pushes back against the illusion, forcing it to retreat. Idira emits something between a moan and a drawn-out whimper. Oh, 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 as if my own little pals weren't bad enough. Now this one's barging into my head. Somebody stop her. Argenta, heresy. Argenta looks at the tall figure with a strange mixture of anger and sadness. Then she lowers her head, and her white hair veils her face. Persuasion, 100%. Lady Kasha, I'm here to help you. Please calm yourself. Kasha, persuasion test succeeded. She wearily shakes her head and lets out a drawn-out sound similar to both a sob and the howl of a small wounded animal. What is happening? Was someone calling my name? Are all the betrayers dead already? And you, who are? Hecata von Valentius, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Kasha, unease settles over her features, and she nods. Cautiously, pardon my manners, Hecata. I did not expect to make such a gracious acquaintance in such a time of great sorrow for our house. Peeps 0 ed AE ors. Kasha, what is this, L? Feel faint. Theobald Orselio, the heavy-set old man who has been kneeling nearby, erupts into low sobs. His eyes, swollen from crying, dart desperately around the room, as though the veil of ignorance has just been ripped away from them. The child! Lady Kasha, where are you? Sacred child, throne preserve. Despite his venerable age, the navigator leaps up and rushes to the young woman's side. Theobald Orselio, you. The old man shifts, revealing his face to you. It is threaded with jet black veins, and his bulging, milky eyes bear a striking resemblance to those of a dead fish. A sickly sweet scent assaults your nostrils, as if the old man's flesh is rotting inside his decaying husk. Theobald Orselio, my eyes fail me, for they are unable to make you out as either enemy or ally. I'm warning you, one wrong move will bring the wrath of House Orselio down upon your head. Idira, watch out, Lord Captain. This one's so deranged, it's making the whispers shriek like crazy. He might just open that eye. Abelard, threatening the head of the dynasty, is a grave offense esteemed, whoever you are. Abelard places a hand on his weapon. LeNessicor mean you no harm, came to seek. Theobald Orselio, commerce test succeeded. I'll grant that you do not look like pirates who have come coveting the riches of a wrecked station, or like scoundrels in Felix service. So who are you? Hecata von Valentius, rogue trader. Theobald Orselio, another rogue trader in our corner of the galaxy. How interesting. Your kind always make an appearance in desperate times, ready to cut a deal that benefits one side alone. Theobald Orselio, given that you have not so far drawn your weapons, your intentions are probably peaceful. And so House Orselio now asks a service of you, save the life of the child in exchange for future cooperation. Do not hurry to answer, think on it. You can make yourself an ally or an enemy of our house today. What service do you ask of me? Theobald Orselio, hope glimmers in the navigator's milky eyes. Save the sacred child, take her away from this station. I fear I do not have long left. A bluish rivulet trickles down the old man's chin, and he wipes the mutated blood brusquely away with his sleeve. You glimpse strange burns covering his flesh under his clothing. The slightest movement must be causing him unbearable pain. Save the child and deliver her safely to Regent Aranto, acting head of House Orselio, in the Coronus Expanse. Rest assured that the reward will be worth your effort. Idira, I know we came here for Navigator, but after everything we've seen, I've got some reservations about this girl. Argenta looks at Kasia, and a painful furrow appears on her brow. Such a fragile thing with such a heavy burden upon her. You are talking as though you expect to die here. Theobald Orselio. Theobald shrugs indifferently. My service to the house is coming to an end. The wounds Felek inflicted on my flesh will never heal. I am dying, praise the throne, slowly enough to see that the child is taken care of. You need help? There is a Medikey deck on my ship. Theobald Orselio, but Theobald only shakes his head. No, I am the keeper of Eurac, and I will perish along with my station. On that note, I have other matters to attend. Want to know what happened between you and Felek? Theobald Orselio, Felek is my wayward student. He came to Eurac as a callow youth. I personally mentored him and entrusted him with the care of the child. He was like a son to me, but he proved to be just another traitor. He sought to steal our most precious treasure, the heir of our house, our sacred child, to revel in power with others like him, casting our house into the abyss, to pervert the centuries-long traditions of our family. Theobald Orselio, you can see the fruits of his villainy for yourself. He decided he was not bound by his duties to the legacy of the greatest of our novitors, Tisiphone Orselio, who led our house to prosperity for countless years. Foolish boy. The tilde, renegades clouded his mind. They sought to seize control of the dynasty before the sacred child had come of age and taken up the novitors' throne. Sit or emg, tie. A patriarch or matriarch that rules over. A navigator. House, the figurative equals and often. Biological, father or mother of the dynasty. Theobald Orselio. So choose whose side you are on. A murderous traitor or the lawful scion of a noble house. Theobald speaks these words softly, looking at the unconscious young woman with reverence. I'll believe have made my decisions. Theobald Orselio, see that so? Please share your thoughts. Felek is a true monster. Let's do away with him together. Theobald Orselio. Theobald dips his head in favor of the proposition. Allies are always welcome, even temporary ones. I will revive the child. Do not be alarmed, the power of house. Orselio's heir will help us to destroy our enemies and shield us from Felek's navigator forces. But you, rest for a time before the battle. EE.